Hey guys, today what I have for you is a video of me cutting my client's hair, my mom. We're going to be doing a long bob on her with some layers, just a little bit, just in order to give her a little movement in the back. So what I'm doing here, first I'm parting her hair from the front section all the way to the back section. I'm doing 4 quadrants, making sure your partings and your sectionings are nice and clean for a clean haircut. If you notice, I parted the hair for the first section that I will be cutting in an upside down V. I know I could have done the horizontal sections and cutting it horizontally, but I did the upside down V, and I'm doing it that way, but I'm not gonna be cutting it 8 line, if you guys know what I mean. So I'm starting off doing my first cut. That will be my guideline, and I'm making sure everything's nice and straight and using my same guide on the right side, following it along. So now, to make sure that everything's nice and straight and even, I grab the whole section and cut whatever I see that is longer and not following the guide. When I see that everything's nice and even through my baseline, I'll break another section down, another clean section. Don't make too much of a thick section, because then you won't be able to see your guide. So you grab a thin section, bring it down, comb your hair through, and as you're combing it through, you will see and you will notice your guide. It's right there. So you cut, making sure you follow that same guideline throughout the rest of the hair. Make sure the hair is nice and wet, because that would definitely help you out, because if you have some dry areas and some wet areas, it's not going to be a consistent throughout, and it's going to mess up your haircut. So we're going to follow this guideline throughout the rest of the hair, making sure everything is nice and straight. Notice how I am leaning her forward for through the whole haircut, just so that everything is aligned and her back is not really in my way. I know that in beauty school they only teach you what you need to learn to pass your state board test. Now you don't really start learning until you start working on real clients, and then when you start fucking up on them, that's when you're really gonna start learning, because you have to fix your own problems. Because when you're in school, you're working on a mannequin, you're not really working on clients yet until you're in the senior floor. And I mean, if you fuck up a mannequin, it's like, okay, whatever, you're probably just gonna shave it off anyways. But yeah, it's not the same when you're dealing with real customers. And that's really how I learn, and that's how you're gonna learn too, because you're gonna start working on clients. Your goal is, of course, to get your license, to start working in a salon, to maybe own your salon one day. When I'm cutting on the sides, I do the same thing. I just tilt her head to the side that I'm doing, just so that her shoulder is not bothering me, because if because of the shoulder is on the way, that's going to create some elevation. Also, it will interrupt the cutting and it won't be nice and straight all around. I am over directing the hair from the front towards the back, just because she wanted an all-around haircut, and I'm not making an A-line like I said, because then it will be too much of a drastic longness to her front, and my mom is not with that, so that's why we're doing it all straight across. So that was the base line throughout the whole haircut. Now we're gonna go in with the layers. Now starting with the layers on the long bob. The way that I was taught is you picture your client's head like a clock. So right now we're working on, let's say, 6 o'clock. So there's 6 o'clock and right across from it is 12 o'clock. So we're gonna be doing our section from 6 to 12. Now here I'm dropping all the short pieces down because we don't want to create too many layers. We just want to do long layers. So we're just gonna cut what we see that is not needed, because if we go in cutting from the bottom section, which is a lot shorter than the top, we're gonna have too much layers going on, and that's not what we want. So we're starting off with a 6 o'clock and we're going up towards 12 o'clock, and we're just following that guideline that we are creating now. So now I'm gonna go work on 7 o'clock. So I bring some of the 6 o'clock to the 7 o'clock, and we bring that all the way following to 12 o'clock, just to make sure everything is following our guideline. And we're going to continue doing that on 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, up till we get to the front of the hair sections. Bringing down the shorter pieces because, like I said, you guys don't want to create too many layers, and it has happened to me when I first started working at the salon. I had a little girl's haircut. Her hair was super long, so I had done the whole base cut first, so meaning the length. So I had done her length, and now I was gonna go in with her layers. The only problem was, instead of following her longest piece, so my guideline in my head was the shorter piece, and I was going in cutting the rest of it to that short piece. So I created so many layers on her, but that meant that I was cutting her length, and the mom strictly told me that she didn't want to cut her length much because she wanted to keep it long, because she was doing commercials and I don't know what. But that was a big mistake that I did, that instead of following and creating a new guideline, I followed her short pieces in the back, because usually everybody has those short pieces. So I followed those short pieces to create my layers, and it was a big mistake. The haircut came out nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not what the mother had wanted for her daughter. So now I'm grabbing 6 o'clock and 5 o'clock to follow that guideline throughout the right side of her head. Remember to drop all the shorter pieces on the bottom because we don't want to cut any of that off. So right here I'm just following my same guideline throughout the rest of the hair. What I like to do also to make sure everything's nice and even from the left to the right, I bring some of the left section over to the right section to make sure everything is nice and even and equal. Right here I'm just making sure that everything is all equal because most of the layers we did on top. So what I'm doing, I'm grabbing the top section, comb it through, comb on the right side, comb on the left side, comb on the right side, comb on the left side, just to make sure everything nice and combed out. That is definitely going to make a difference in your haircut. Right here I'm grabbing the front section just to layer it up a little bit more, just to give her the little movement on the front area. Just shaking it off. You could definitely see the layers in there. The only tips that I have for blow drying as of now that would come to my mind, first of all, when you want volume on your hair, you want to use a small brush, because if you use a bigger brush, that's gonna create more of a flatter blow drying style. And if you're like me, that you're always running your fingers through your head, that's gonna create much of a more greasier head. I'm using a small brush here, but what I'm doing to not get that round brush effect look on my mom's ends, I'm holding the brush on the ends for a little longer to create a much more like a straighter look, instead of having it look more like a rounded ended ends, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Another tip is on the brush size that you use. You want to use your section that you're blowing out should not be any bigger than the width of your brush size, because if it's a lot bigger, it's going to take you a lot longer to blow dry, one, and two, your ends might be dry, but your roots are still going to be wet. So you just want to make sure that your section is not too big for your brush. Also, when I blow dry, I move it around, going on all directions, going on the top, brushing it to the side, bring it forward, making sure that that root is nice and dry, because if it's wet, you're not going to have your volume. Just make sure the roots are nice and dry. Here what I'm doing, I'm customizing her bob. She always has bangs, you know, just to hide her little gray hairs in the front. So she likes to have a bang all the time. And what I'm doing, she wanted it short by her nose. So I'm going in point cutting, bringing her bang straight up, because that would guarantee us a more wispier bang instead of a very blunt, heavy bang. I did touch up my mom's color. That's why in the beginning of the video you do see a lot of gray, but by the end of the video she was all nice and blonde and colored. So yes, I did touch up her color. I hope some of these tips that I gave you guys in this video helped you guys out, if it was even with the bangs or the layer cutting. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, bye.